Ayo, what is up everybody, SS Samurai 7 here, back with another Project Zomboid video for you all. In today's video, I've brought things back to normal, no challenge or anything, just plain old Project Zomboid. Let's see if we've gotten any better since the last attempt. I did go ahead and turn the helicopter event to sometimes, however, just to keep the zombies roaming around. And for this playthrough, I went ahead and chose the good old town of Malta. And to go along with it, the character I chose was a truck driver before the world fell apart, which allows her to automatically have reduced fatigue when driving, along with the ability to repair heavy vehicles if we find any. The mod I'm using to get this is Simple Overhaul to Traits and Occupations by Hey Foxy if you're interested. I also have a video going over my favorite mods, so if you all are interested in that, I'll leave a card at the top of the screen for y'all to click now. I went ahead and chose Smoker and Slow Reader as my two other negative traits, leaving me with 9 more points to spend. And for that, I went with Sharpshooter, which gives me +2 to aiming and reloading, which if you've ever tried to aim using the vanilla game, you know how painful it is. For my one final point, I popped that sucker in the Iron Gut, which allows me to eat raw eggs, along with the benefit of being less likely to contract food sickness. I felt like her being on the road all the time, this perk was perfect for her. And after only 3 randomizations on the character, we got one with a perfect name. Meet Cleo Trucko, our hero of the journey. Let's change that name to make it a little more fitting. She's a 42-year-old trucker who lives in a trailer park back at home. Since most of her days are spent on the road traveling the country, she doesn't need much when she comes back home. Plus, the job doesn't pay too well either. Well, I guess it didn't pay too well. Since society completely collapsed, I'm not too sure money's gonna be the issue anymore. I went around the trailer taking anything of value. These pens I'll use to mark up my map. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and check out the area. To the east of us looks like the military base, but for now, I need to find a 2-story house to call home instead. So I took a Tailoring Volume 1 book, along with a word search, and exited out the front door into the foggy abyss. I crept over to the next trailer, where our first zombies of the playthrough were waiting. When they were killed, I went to go pry open the window to the trailer when a zombie almost snuck up behind me in an attempt to end this run early. The next window I tried to open was unlocked, but the bathroom had one of the dead stored away. Still without a weapon though, I searched the trailer to try to find one before opening the door. The bedroom had ammunition inside of a gun case. Not exactly what I was looking for, but that's okay. I'll always take the extra ammo. And even more ammo from the zombie hiding inside the bathroom, plus a 1911 pistol and a pair of military boots to keep us safe. Inside the bathroom, I collected an adhesive bandage along with the sheets the owner had stored away. The kitchen had a pan that I attached to my back. It may not be the best weapon, but at least we have one for now. And now that we do, let's find a place to stay for now. These trailers will get very dangerous very quickly, so I need to go to a 2-story house. And there just so happened to be one right across the street. I was always fond of my neighbor's house anyway, but with always being on the road, she was always fine with just what she had. But now that the world's over and everyone's dead, she can have anything and everything she wants, starting with this house. I grabbed a helmet off one of the dead to protect my noggin, along with painkillers and how many injuries along the way. There's a few more dead behind the house, so I need to kill them beforehand. A zombie with a green shirt had a purse on him with an M9 pistol inside, along with a magazine and ammo to go along with it. Now let's get back to clearing around the base. Nice, a leather jacket to protect my arms. The area seems clear, now time to head inside. Actually, first, let's see if this motorcycle has any fuel in it. No fuel, no keys, and it looks like it needs some repairing too. It was worth a shot. When I got to the inside, I could see blood all over the floors and walls. Not a good sign. There might be something in here with us. So I headed up the stairs, where there was even more blood leading into the kids' bedroom. It's hard to tell what happened to them, but they're gone now, and the rest of the house was empty. When I got back to the kitchen, I closed up all the curtains and placed a pot outside to start filling up with rainwater, so that I could use it for stew later. I dropped all my ammo on the kitchen table, then loaded up the M9. I'll be keeping this on me just in case. I placed the 2 curtains I found on the trailer, then realized we had missed the Life and Living episode. But, we're gonna need a TV if we want to watch those. So I headed across the street to try to find one. I could hear the TV audio from the outside, so I knew there was one in here. I grabbed Electronics Volume 2, along with the rest of the reading material, then was able to find a woodcrafting VHS, food, and an extra pot in the kitchen. Then I picked up the TV and headed back across the street. I checked on the pot from earlier, and it was now full. So I placed it in the oven, then added split peas, ground beef, beets, and a bouillon cube. Now while that's cooking, I want to take a second to read Tailoring Volume 1 while I tell you all about today's sponsor, the like and subscribe button. It's free and quick to do, but only if you've enjoyed the video. And if you haven't enjoyed it, well, tell me what you dislike in the comments so I can continue to improve my content. Constructive criticism is always nice. Anyway, the food's ready now, so let's get back to it. After I ate, I placed my books on the table and the pot outside before heading out for a loot run. I started by heading to the White House at the end of the dirt road, and while walking up to it, a few zombies on the other side were alerted to me being there. So stealth is no longer an option. I carefully rounded the house, where I was able to handle them a little easier. Whoa, cigarettes on the first day. Let's go. I went ahead and smoked one to decrease my anxiousness before searching the house. Nabbing Carpentry Volume 1, scissors that we can use for tailoring down the line, another pot of stew for eating, along with a bunch of canned food items. Before heading upstairs, grabbing curtains along my way. I grabbed a soap bar and a pillow for my bed while I was up here, then headed back outside to check the shed that was out back. The door ended up being locked, but I was able to fiddle open the window. Inside, it had a jerry can for gas, along with a jack for mechanics. Then I walked back to my house for the night. But a few followed me back. I frantically ran around, trying to drop off stuff from my inventory to free up as much space as possible. When I finally killed them, I picked up the sheets I had dropped to place them back inside. Now we just need to cover up the top floor. After placing food in the cupboard, I went ahead and took a drink from the sink to cure my thirst and filled bottles I collected from the last house, so we'd always have one on us now. When I went upstairs, I cut up the denim jeans on my bed for the strips, and then placed a pillow on it. Now when I sleep, I'll be a little more comfy. I put all my tailor equipment in my dresser and my reading material on the nightstand, before returning back downstairs to read Carpentry Volume 1 and to finish off the rest of the soup. Before I went to bed, however, I took a second to mark up my map so I wouldn't forget what's been searched. Before heading back upstairs to rest for the night. Nothing like life and living to start your day. Ayo, what is up everybody? ASUS Samurai 7 here, back with another video. In the last one, we got introduced to Cleo Trucko, who was a truck driver before the world fell apart. She hopes that one day she'll be able to find another big rig, repair it if need be, then ride it into the sunset. Will we even make it that far? I got big hopes for this one, so comment down below what you think. And without further ado, let's hop right back into the story. This frying pan has been through a beating. We're gonna need to find a new weapon this episode. The first house on the search list today is the final remaining one on our cul-de-sac. But before hopping in, I looked around to ensure that nothing was out back. The front door happened to be locked, but I was able to force open the front window, where I jumped through, collecting newspapers from a box, and a little bit of canned food from the kitchen. There was also 2 forks in the neighboring cupboard that I clipped onto my belt in case my frying pan broke. Then I pulled the curtains down off the windows and searched the bathroom, where there was antidepressants, sleeping pills, and a bandage. Not too shabby. Cleo's inventory wasn't too filled up yet, so I didn't waste any time going back to the safe house, and instead, I immediately walked over to the next house. I again looked around the outside before entering, especially since a few of the windows had been shattered, but there were still no zombies to be seen. I opened up the window on the far end of the house that led into the master bedroom, which, after looking around, had nothing of value for me to take. The next room was the bathroom, where I grabbed a sheet from the sink. The teen's bedroom had more sleeping pills in the dresser. I think we'll be good on those for a while now. In the living room, I found the volume 1 to first aid, which I took for myself to read up on. Finally, I found myself in the kitchen, where there was plenty of food to go around, like this pot of pasta, and even more canned food. I also found another frying pan that was in better shape than my own, so I equipped it onto my back. But after grabbing all the food, I was extremely encumbered. Thankfully, the zombies were still nowhere to be seen. Weird. When I got back, I unloaded all the items I had collected, putting food in the kitchen, books on the table, and medical items upstairs. While we're up here, let's go ahead and add all the sheets we grabbed while we were out. Now the entire house is covered. Hopefully this will keep the zombies away, long enough for me to start boarding up a few of the windows at least. I don't know how long I'm going to stay here, but until we find a vehicle, I think this will be the best spot for us. I hope so at least. But instead of worrying all day, let's get back out there to continue clearing out the area. There we go. That looks like a good enough car to me. Hopefully it has everything we need. But first, I want to clear this house out to ensure there aren't any dead ones in here. The initial room was empty, but then Cleo found herself in the kitchen, where she collected the food, eating a small meat patty along the way. I was also able to find an eraser that'll come in handy if we accidentally make a mark on our map. The last room was the bathroom, but there wasn't anything to search in here, so I exited the house to go check out the car. Still not seeing any zombies. Oh, there they are. And another was in here as well. Let's check to ensure there aren't any more inside. All clear. I ate an apple from the fridge, then went back outside. Let's cross our fingers that the keys are inside. Hopefully they're in the glove box. Let's go! Just what Cleo needed to spark life into her. Although the tank was empty, we found a gas can in the last episode, so we just need to find another car that has fuel in it to siphon out. I crossed out the 3 houses I had searched, and had an accident with my pen, so good thing we found the eraser earlier. Cleo wanted to go ahead and kill the zombie she saw behind the house, but first, she had a smoke to clear her anxiety. While walking up, I thought one of them had a screwdriver on him, which we are still in need of. But after they were dead, I realized It was actually a hand fork, but at least there was a big pen. Now we have all the colors to mark our map with. Since there was a garage right beside us though, I figured there could be gas there, or even a generator inside. I apparently made too much noise opening the window, which alerted one of the sleeping zombies inside the house. The garage ended up being fairly empty, but I was able to stumble upon fertilizer, so I opened up my map and marked the car with blue and the fertilizer with green. One of the remaining boxes had a few pipes inside, and since these do more damage than my Weasley frying pan, I swapped that out to be my main weapon. There was also a screwdriver in here, allowing us to start leveling up our electrician skill. I wanted to keep an extra eye on my weight this run. Usually I end up forgetting to eat until I'm extremely hungry. I want to be able to hold more in this run though, so we're going to need to eat more to be able to do that. I crept through the kitchen, keeping an eye out for any zombies, then found myself in a bathroom, where there was painkillers, antidepressants, and an adhesive bandage. I ate another apple from the fridge, then grabbed all the items from the freezer. You know what they say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. There was also a steel pork chop in the oven, so you know how to snack on that a little bit. While I was in the living room grabbing an Electrician Volume 2 book, I noticed I had missed a Life and Living episode. Oops. Let's get back home now. I threw one of the pots of noodles in the stove and added the rest of the pork chop I had found earlier to it, and then ate it up. I remembered that we had an electrical magazine that we never read from the last episode, and after we finished it up, Cleo was able to add the first item to her finished books corner. Life and Living was about to start, so I hopped onto the couch and opened up my Carpentry Volume 1 book while we watched woodcrafting, leveling it up along the way. I checked out my map, where I noticed there was another house close by with a garage. Maybe it has a car with gas. Nope, only a zombie. This metal pipe isn't too bad. There was a mop in the laundry room, and I wanted to clean out the blood from the kids' bedroom back at the safe house, so I went ahead and collected it. I didn't grab the bleach though, but I don't know if we need any. I'm not too sure how the cleaning mod works. The freezer was absolutely loaded with meats, along with ice cream as well. I ate a bit of ham while I continued looting. More food, even more food, Carpentry Volume 2, and even more food. Yeah, I think we're gonna be okay with eating more this run. When I got upstairs, I was given the choice of 3 doors. Behind the first, nothing. In the second, vitamins. And in the final, shirts. Let's go ahead and rip up some of these. We need to increase our tailoring skill sooner rather than later. And while I was walking back home, I was going to search the final remaining trailer on the street, but a fire truck caught my eye. I walked a little closer and saw 2 more cars nearby. There's gotta be fuel here. But there was a fairly big group kinda close by, and being encumbered, along with tired, I didn't want to be too risky. I checked out the fire truck quietly, but it had no gas inside. It did have a battery in the glove box though, and a bottle of disinfectant in the back. I started walking up to the other cars, but then I noticed 3 zombies to the rear of the trailer. Well, they're coming to me, so no running away. I backed up all the way to the road while eating some food to decrease my weight a little bit. Now we're ready to finish them off. By this point, I was nervous about returning to the cars since nighttime was coming soon. So I went around the dead bodies I had cleared out the past 2 days, dismantling any electronics they had on them. Cleo also found a diamond ring on one of the dead, which she took as her own. They won't be needing it anyway. And once back inside, I dismantled the remaining electrical items, then put the electrical parts inside the cabinet. I tried equipping the mop to clean the blood on the floor, but was unsuccessful. I'm going to check up on the mod before the next video. But for now, I return to my room for the night. It's currently day 3, and the quicker we find gas, the better. So I'm going to head back over to the cars we tried to search yesterday before I was rudely ambushed. But first, I need to get something to eat for breakfast. I consumed a bar of chocolate, but it wasn't enough for Cleo, so I ate some frozen vegetables to go along with it. Then began my journey back to the cars. When I got a little closer, I realized the crash I was coming up on wasn't the one from yesterday. There was a sheriff's car in this collision, so hopefully there's something good inside of it. At least the keys were in here, as well as a few tactical walkie-talkies that I went ahead and dismantled for the extra XP. In the trunk, there was yet another empty gas can, of course. But when I got inside the truck, the keys were stored in the glove box. At least we're getting lucky on that front. But neither of the cars are going to be drivable anyway. Not without a lot of repairing at least. And to go along with that, both of the gas tanks were bone dry. Let's cross our fingers that one of the 2 we found yesterday has a little stored inside. But there are a few zombies in this trailer that we need to kill beforehand. The doors and windows to it were locked, so I smashed open the window before the zombie could, and finished it off. I cleared away the broken glass and hopped through the trailer. I instantly found the key to one of the cars outside in the first drawer we had searched. Also grabbed a bowl for oatmeal and salads, along with all of the food inside. I ate some of the ice cream though, to give me a slight boost before taking on the Z. Now, let's get back to the cars outside. I popped open the hood, and like we've seen so much already, it was empty, and I had apparently lured over one of the dead from a nearby group. Now let's see if there's anything salvageable inside this burnt trailer. Yeah, no. And to go along with it, their car outside also had no gas as well. Plus, the game decided to continue to make fun of me by giving me another empty gas can. Honestly, I might cry. After crossing off the 2 trailers on my map, I wanted to go ahead and loot the remaining 2 before returning home. In the first one, I collected canned food and frozen meats, which I threw into the oven to eat afterwards. There was also a kitchen knife to replace one of the forks on my belt. I dismantled the remaining electronics I had found while the food was still cooking, but there wasn't much else in here either. I did, however, grab a few comic books from the bedroom to read later. Oops, almost forgot to turn off the oven. That would have started a fire. By this point, I was highly encumbered by the loot I had on me, so I returned to the safe house to drop everything off. While here, I ate the remaining piece of sausage and smoked a cigarette to clear out my anxiety. Then I grabbed a gas can and headed back onto the road, deciding to loot the trailer when we returned, as I didn't want to get too filled up on weight yet. Oh, let's go! This car looks in good shape. Let's hope it has gas. I should have known the doors were locked, but the trunk wasn't, so I was able to swap out my screwdriver for one with more durability. Then I forced open the kitchen window and hopped through, sweeping the area before looting. It's clear. The first shelf had 2 rifle magazines on it, the first teaching me about armor-light rifles, and the second on FAL rifles. There was, of course, food in the kitchen, so I again threw some in the oven to eat later on. The next cupboard had the key to the car outside, so I'll now be able to check out the glove box. The bedroom dresser had a school backpack, so I'll now be able to store a little bit more on me, as well as a saw inside to start getting planks with. And in the last nightstand, a metalworking magazine to teach us how to make metal walls and roofs. Before I went back outside, I ate up the sausage that had been cooking and threw some stuff back in my backpack to lower Cleo's weight a little bit. The glove box of the car only had twine and alcohol wipes worth taking, so I headed back empty-handed. I think I'll take this silver necklace. When I arrived at the next house, it was very homey inside. Definitely a place I could live once we had a car. While I was in the kitchen looting up, I placed 2 meat patties inside the oven for dinner, and while they were baking, I went outside where I noticed a zombie. When I went over to kill it, the pipe I had been using as my main weapon had broken on me. At least we have our backup knife. After eating, I headed upstairs where I was met with a hallway. The first room being a library where I collected a lighter. The next room was an empty closet, but the third was a bedroom, still with nothing worthwhile inside though. The primary bedroom didn't have much either, but I was able to dismantle 2 watches that were in the nightstand. In the final room, I was able to take some soap. Then I exited out the front door to make my way back home. Crap, now we're just down to a fork. Once I was back home and everything was stored away, it was time for bed. But I did remember to finally set an alarm. So when I did wake up in the morning, it was time for life and living. While I was watching the cooking show, I took the time to continue reading on Carpentry Volume 1. Then for breakfast, I had a cigarette along with a hamburger patty. Then I inspected my map to see where we'd go today. I wanted to cover more ground east, since the central part of town was over there. There was probably more cars with potential to have fuel inside, so I decided to head over in that direction, grabbing a new pipe wrench from the garage along the way. Once I arrived, I noticed there was a herd gathered close by. Like always, I knew it would be better to take them out beforehand. When I was finished with them, I tried to get through the front door, but it was locked, so I went in through the window. The house was in the process of being moved out of, so there wasn't much in here besides food, comics, and a metalworking magazine. The next house had a few more zombies in the back that needed clearing out. We should be good to loot the house now. Besides food, the kitchen also had a bunch of soda for Cleo to drink as well. There was a pot of rice sitting out, so I went ahead and added a few ingredients to it, and then threw it into the stove to cook. I also found a flashlight in the closet just before heading upstairs, which I added to my belt. When I got up there, the master bedroom didn't have much, but the bathroom did have some bandages that I took. When I made it to the kids' bedroom, it was also fairly empty, so I returned back downstairs just in time to watch Life and Living, while I drank a few sodas in the process, getting my carpentry skill up to level 2. I saw a shed in the yard, so I crept my way over to it, hoping there would be a generator or fuel inside, but only crafting supplies. I went out to the street to see if I could find any other nearby cars, but had no luck, so I returned home, fuelless once again. Ate the remaining rice for snack when I got back, and noticed I had a cough starting to form up. That's not good, especially if we want to keep quiet around the dead. Since our carpentry skill was now level 2, I'm able to add my carpentry volume 1 book to the finished books corner. And for my next one, I grabbed tailoring volume 1, so I'll be able to pad my clothing in order to protect Cleo a little more from the dead. While I was reading that, exposure survival came on, but I couldn't quite tell what was leveling up. Afterward, I opened up my map to mark off the final remaining house we had searched, and now there's just 2 more remaining trailers and 1 more house in close proximity to us. In the next video, I'll go clear those out, but for now, I smoked up a cigarette and prepared pasta for dinner. And while I was doing that, I brought in some tainted water from the outside for my next one. I tried to be civil and put my dinner into a bowl, but I was unfortunately unable to, so it looked like straight from the pot it is. I chugged a can of beer afterwards, and then went to go sit down to read a little bit more before bed, but I was rudely interrupted by wandering zombies outside. Where did these guys come from? One of them broke the living room window during the scuffle, but I came away unscathed. We need to get these windows boarded up, quickly. Anyway, if you all enjoyed this video and would like to see more Cleo Trucko's journey, drop a like on the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's hop right back into Cleo Trucko's story. Starting back on day 5. I got to work watching Life and Living, while also continuing to read Tailoring Volume 1. During the program, my cooking skill got increased to level 2. Nice. I still had leftover pasta from the previous video, so I decided to go ahead and finish it off for breakfast. Then I filled up the pot, along with the water bottles I had on me from the sink. Today, I'm going to finish searching the remaining houses in the area. We gotta keep the zombies away from us, especially after the ambush last night. So, I exited out of the safe house and into the wasteland. Before I even made it to the end of the driveway, I could already see our first zombie of the day. I see how this video is gonna go. When I made it to the first trailer, I was forced to go in through the window, but in there, found red wine, along with a little bit of non-perishable food. Also took a few plates from the cupboards, in hopes to use it for my dinner. The main bedroom had an electronics magazine on the table to teach Cleo to add motion sensors. I'm probably not going to use those, but why not? I also went ahead and dismantled the television and remote for the extra electrical XP, before heading back out, where I noticed a group of dead hiding in the trees. I originally thought that this was the house, but upon further inspection, it's actually a little convenience store. Perfect. All the windows and doors on the front were locked, and when I got around back, I could see the group nearby. But before I took them out, I checked out the door, and it was locked as well. Great. I took a second to look around after, and spotted a house with a garden close by. I might try to collect those veggies before they spoil, but that'll be a different day. Let's not get too off track. Getting off track is what gets you killed. What? When did y'all get here? When I broke my way into the building, I began by dismantling a radio in the first room, as well as marking a water droplet on my map, so I could remember that there was a water cooler in here. In the cleaning closet, there was a jug of bleach. I have a mop back at home, so now I'll be able to clean up blood using it. Inside the convenience store, I was lucky enough to find Cleo's first hammer, as well as an emergency flashlight that I swapped out for my own, because look at the brightness on this thing. There was also a trowel for farming, as well as medical supplies, a bunch of electronics to dismantle, and food to eat. Speaking of that, I started to get a little hungry, and since I had just found a carton of eggs, I wanted to try out my iron gut trait, which should allow Cleo to eat raw eggs, without any chance of food illness. But I was too scared it could ruin my run because of one raw egg, so I went ahead and ate the yogurt instead. Y'all tell me down below in the comments if they're 100% safe. I just want some clarification. For now though, let's run over to the next trailer. Please have gas. When I got closer, I realized there was a herd close by, but I want to check to see if this truck has any fuel first. And when Cleo opened up the hood, our prayers were finally answered. I went around to the side of the truck and filled up the empty gas can I've been carrying around for so long. As much as I could anyway. The bed of the truck had an empty bottle along with a wrench for mechanics. That group's still over there. We should be good to loot the house though. And not with these zombies coming up. Ah, crap. That was close. I immediately lost all confidence after that fight, and maybe for the better, because I decided to head back home for the night, instead of looting the final trailer. But I did grab a car on the way home. And parked it in our driveway. Once all the loot was stored away, I filled up the bottles Cleo had been collecting, then made a stir fry for dinner, adding noodles, chicken, eggs, and a bunch of other ingredients. And while it was cooking, I stood by the TV to watch the Life and Living episode for the night, and tonight's show was on foraging. After I ate up, I decided that tonight would be the night I finally finished tailoring Volume 1, so I sat down until I could finally add it to my finished books corner, and then went to sleep shortly after. Day 6 began with a cigarette in the comfort of my room. Then I sat down by the couch to begin Life and Living. I ate the remaining stir fry from last night for breakfast, and then headed back out to search the trailer. Once the dead outside had been cleared away, I headed on inside. There was a bunch of stuff in the freezer, and well, frankly, everywhere else in the kitchen as well. I took a few items from the bathroom to decorate mine back at home, and in the bedroom, I dismantled a TV for a little extra XP. I wish I could find the book to be able to multiply my XP gains. Well, there's nothing left here. Let's get back home. When I did, I dropped off all the loot, decorated the bathroom a little bit, and finally added another pillow to my bed. Crap, that's off center. Really? I can't reach it to change it? Of course. Whoa, there's some hidden cash down here. It doesn't have much use anymore though. I was going to continue covering more ground towards the center of town, but along that journey, Cleo had her first run-in with the helicopter event. Knowing if I ran back home, I could be luring tens, if not hundreds of zombies towards my location. So I ran back towards the only safe place I knew. House with the wall. I locked myself in the bathroom, where I waited for it to eventually pass. I didn't bring anything to read or eat, so I just sat in silence on the cold bathroom floor. At least those zombies found their way in. Let's creep our way back home now. My pipe is now broken. Hopefully he has a baton on him. Nope. Jeez, there's a lot of zombies running through this field here. Whoa, there is more than I thought. I couldn't take these guys on with just my hammer, so I retreated back to a nearby house and used it as a barricade. Now I want to ensure there's no more remaining stragglers nearby. Whoa, why were you guys hiding together? Once again, I ran back to the safety of a house and used the windows and doors to my advantage. I found myself another zombie that quickly turned into 2, and again doubled into 4 zombies. 3 dead at once is already enough for Cleo. Luckily, one broke away from the pack and took a detour through the woods. Phew, that's all. Oop, never mind. One's waiting behind the house. Wait, no! They're in my house too! Crap! They're all dead now. Cleo didn't want the smell of dead to stick to the house, so after I threw the zombies outside, I grabbed the mop and bleach to clean up the blood. If you all enjoyed this video and would like to wish Cleo some luck on her journey, be sure to drop a like on the video and consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you want to talk outside the comments, come join my Discord. The link to that will be in the description, along with the rest of my socials. I'm probably most active on Twitter, or X, whatever you call it. Anyway, thank you all for the support, and I'll see you all in the next video. To start today off, I chilled out on the couch while I read up on carpentry. Even though last night I was able to kill a lot of the zombies lured over by the helicopter, I knew there was still going to be more in the area that Cleo needed to take out. But before exiting out of the safety of my house, I snacked on a few raw eggs for breakfast, now that I know they're completely safe with the iron gut trait. I decided I'd go ahead and head back over to the house with the garden in order to grab all of the crops before they spoil, and kill any dead along the way. Ooh, an annotated map. Hot dude selling hamburgers. We're definitely not going to go check that out. Once I arrived at the garden, I started by harvesting the radishes, which made me super encumbered already. I was unable to harvest whatever was next to it, and in the last plot as well, but everything else was fair game. I dropped the radish seeds off into the crate nearby, so I wouldn't have to carry them. Then Cleo took out a zombie before harvesting all the carrots. I again dropped the seeds off into the crate, and then walked back home with my full inventory. Getting the attention of a few zombies along my way, but I didn't want to fight them with this big of a load, so I waited till I got back home, where I dropped everything off into the fridge so that we would no longer be encumbered. I decided to take the car on this trip to the garden to store the food inside the trunk and not on us. First up were the cabbages. Then it was time for the broccoli. Once the trunk was filled, I had to hop inside the car to unpack the rest of the food onto the seats. I then busted my way into the shed, where I found nails, screws, duct tape, and a plank to board up my broken window back at home. I wanted to go ahead and loot the house while we were here, but once I opened the door, the screeching sounds of the house alarm started blaring. I immediately sprinted back to the car and drove away. Now every zombie that was lured over by the helicopter event are now going to be migrating over to that house. And Cleo's only weapon right now? A hammer. After the dead that followed me back were taken care of, I circled my house to ensure that it was clear, but I spotted a couple just through the tree line. We should be good now. I started unpacking the car and turned on Life and Living while I was. The fridge was quickly filled up with the vegetables, so I started putting the rest in the freezer. On my next trip out, I grabbed the plank and nails to board up the window to make Cleo feel a little more safe. And now the freezer is completely full as well. I decided to go ahead and prepare a stir fry with as much stuff as possible. And while that was cooking up, I took the time to continue reading carpentry. And after I finished my supper, I put whatever vegetables I could into the fridge, but then I had to store the rest inside the cupboards. Hopefully they won't spoil. Before I went to sleep, I went into the kids' bedroom, where I ripped up the remaining clothing inside the closet, dismantled a radio, and decorated the table with a few of the toys inside. When I woke up the following morning, Cleo began her day with Life and Living, and then I gave her her first bath of the video, before trying to sew up some of her clothing items. Since a lot of them had become ripped over the past week, it was definitely past due. But when I got upstairs, I realized I hadn't found a needle or thread yet, so I need to add that to the list while I'm out looting. Before I went out into the wasteland, I ate up the remaining stir-fry Cleo cooked up last night and smoked on a cigarette to help with my anxiety before heading out. Before I even arrived at the convenience store, I could already see the result of the house alarm. Well, let's get to swinging this hammer. These aren't leather gloves, but they'll do. Let's go ahead and finish this off to give Cleo an extra boost. We're getting a little closer now, but there's still a lot of dead to get through. Nice! We increased Cleo's light-footed skill. And now we're sneaking as well. And maintenance. We're leveling up everything this episode. Good thing this fence is here. Ah, crap. That was stupid. I could have gotten bit. At least Cleo found some cool sunglasses to wear though. While I was killing the mass amounts of zombies, I was also collecting their electrical items as well. But after dismantling everything I had on me, my skill was still yet to get up to level 1. Well, my hammer broke. Let's wait to take on this final group. Instead, let's go ahead and loot this house. There wasn't much here for us actually. Time to return back home. Actually, let's clear those zombies out before we go back. And good thing we did, because we got a new leather jacket in the process, with a few less holes than my current one. And there goes my screwdriver. I could hear a television on the inside of the house, which made me realize I was missing Life and Living. So I ran back into the trailer to watch it from inside. Tonight's episode, Woodcraft. When I eventually arrived back home, I went upstairs to repair my hammer that had broken using duct tape I found throughout the series so far. And I was able to get it all the way back up to full health. So when I go back out tomorrow, I won't be unarmed. After eating a little breakfast, I sat down on the couch to watch our final episode of Life and Living. Since it's officially day 9, there won't be any more programs after this one. I headed back towards the house we had been searching to finish off any more strays that were in the area. Nice, metalworking magazine. Now we can craft metal fences to protect our base. Let's put it back in there. It's illegal to read people's mail. That's a lot of zombies. Back to the fence. Now that the outside's clear, I'm going to go ahead and go in to check for any loot. Finally, Electrical Volume 1, as well as Mechanics. Just what I needed to be able to further my experience gains, especially now that Life and Living is over. Cleo was able to faintly pick up the groans of one of the dead inside, so I knew to be careful when opening the doors. There wasn't much else in this house besides food, so before I left, I took a few seconds to eat up, and then exited back out the front door, and went to go loot the next one. And when I started looting it, I was able to collect even more books from the bookshelf, more food from the kitchen, which I started cooking some to eat. And then upstairs, Cleo picked up a razor to add to the bathroom back at home, and once I was back downstairs, I crossed off the final house we had searched, and marked a farm symbol where I'd stored the seeds earlier. Let's get back home. After I stored all the food away, as best as I could anyway, ate a salad to start getting rid of the mass amounts of veggies, then I cooked up a stir fry as well to start eating tomorrow. We need to start reading these books. They're taking up way too much space. I went to go dismantle the electrical items I found, but then I remembered that my screwdriver broke earlier, and that's okay, because I want to start reading some of the electrical book beforehand. So before I went to bed, I sat down on the floor to read. Since there were no more episodes of Life and Living, my mornings from now on are beginning with a bit of reading. When I got downstairs, I continued eating on the stir fry for my breakfast. Before I went out into the Badlands, I made sure to fill up my water bottle, because I didn't want thirst being Cleo's cause of death. I peeked at my map real quick before finally heading out. I didn't know exactly where I wanted to start my looting adventures today, but as long as we were covering more ground, I'm fine with that. As I got closer into town, Cleo spotted the first hurt of the episode so far. But prior to the expellment of the dead, I continued to give Cleo lung cancer. At least we're getting rid of our anxiety though. Okay, let's be smart about this. We haven't cleared past this house, so there's no telling how many dead are over there. Hopefully we can find a bow for this sometime soon. Let's go loot this house, nothing to worry about. Oh, a zombie. Ah, fuck! I shouldn't have let my guard down. Crap, too many to do the wall trick here. Back to the old-fashioned method. Okay, now we got him. The front door to the first house happened to be locked, so our only way in is through the window. However, when I got inside, I thought I could hear the groans from one of the dead outside, but when I got back out there wasn't any nearby. I'm probably just hearing things. I'm a little on edge after that herd. There was some in the neighbor's yard though, so let's go ahead and take care of them. We'll leave the other there for now. He's not bothering anybody. When I got back inside, Cleo was blessed with canned food and a ham. I didn't want to take all the perishable food here, since our fridge back at home was now overflowing with it. It would only weigh us down. Maybe I spend the time in the next video to bring another refrigerator over into ours. But of course, like our usual luck so far, there wasn't much else inside that we needed right now. I crossed off that house, and then made my way to the next one, which had a garage in the backyard. Ah, fuck! Another horde! I retreated back to the fence, but there was too many to take on here. I ran back to the house that we just finished looting to try and split the coop apart, but the back door was locked, so I couldn't get in. Crap! For a split second I contemplated using my firearm, but if we already had a huge group on us, that would only make things worse. Plus, Cleo's aiming skill hasn't been leveled up yet. I don't think anyway. Finally, I think we're good. Cleo added to her jewelry afterwards, putting on a ruby gold ring to remember this fight, and how she lived to see another day. I thought there would be a few more lingering back around the house, but I guess not. Can't leave these behind. There we go. Dang it, no generator. Jeez, you guys scared me. Inside the garage, I collected a plank, duct tape, and a new screwdriver before I left to go back home. I decided to go ahead and loot up the house while I was here, which allowed Cleo to find electrical volume 2, along with the usual food. Now let's head back home. Ah, safe and sound. While Cleo was storing away the items she had collected today, I made sure that she grabbed the nails from the dresser upstairs. Since we had found a plank earlier, we can now add it to one of the windows, which I went to go do, right after I cooked up a stir fry. And now that that's boarded up, I started dismantling excess furniture around the house as well. It's about time I got to this. Oh, dinner's done. Let's take a second to cool off finally. Man, does Cleo look like a badass. After I added the one singular plank I collected from inside, I put away my tools, smoked a cigarette, and went to bed. Now that we're awake, let's put this back on. Once I was downstairs, I checked up on my skills so far. Still haven't been able to level up electrical. Oh, and I do have some levels in aiming and reloading. I forgot I took up a gunsmith trait beforehand. After that, I filled up the bottles I had on me, placing the extra on top of the fridge. Then I sat down to read up on First Aid Volume 1 before eventually heading on outside. Oh, that's more than I thought. Shit, not again. Well, the zombies lured us here. May as well search it. Food and sleeping tablets we don't quite need, were all this place had to offer. On to the next. Okay, let's get them taken care of before they sneak up on us. Great. There's even more next door. But we'll worry about them in a minute. When I got inside, Cleo was once again left empty-handed. We just aren't finding anything good. Hopefully the shed has something. Nope, just a zombie. Actually, there is a metal bar we can attach to Cleo's back to use as a weapon instead. Better that than continuing to break our hammer. Now with our freshly acquired weapon, let's clear this group out. Shoot, a new pistol. I'll take that. Another garage without a generator to add to the list. But on the bright side, there was a plank stowed away. Then Cleo snacked on some ice cream before entering into the house. Apparently we have to fight off another wave of zombies before we can do that. Before I bit off more than Cleo could chew, I went ahead and cowered my way back home, because it was starting to get a little late. Good, nothing followed us back. Oh, I've been so caught up on covering ground towards town that I completely forgot about the east side of my base. Then I collected the nails and saw from upstairs, boarded up the remaining window, and went to grab more planks, starting with our neighbor's house. And while I was inside doing that, Cleo discovered some remotes that I'd left behind, so she dismantled all 3 before returning home to continue fortifying the base. Now every window has at least 2 planks, so when the next helicopter comes by, I'll feel a little better about staying in the house. But maybe I'll also fortify the house with the exterior wall that we used for the last one. We could definitely use that as a rendezvous in case things get ugly. Anyway, we'll do that a different day. It's time to catch some sleep. The next morning, I started my day by giving Cleo a bath from the sink. It's been a few days since my last one, and you never know when the water may shut off. For breakfast, I sliced up a loaf of bread along with a few pieces of ham, and made myself a sandwich. And on my way back towards town, I checked up on my map. I knew that this street over here was walled off on the outside with a double high wall, so whatever zombies were lured over by the helicopter and found their way inside are probably still lingering around. So it's definitely an area that I want to get cleared out. Once I made my way into the first house, I could see the damage the house alarm from the previous episode had caused. Although there weren't any dead inside this house, there wasn't much loot either. To the next one. When that house was safe to enter, I ended up needing to bash my way in. But like the previous one, there was hardly anything in here. I need a smoke to keep dealing with this unfortunate luck. Vehicles! Please have gas. Oh, another pistol. Doesn't look like there's any more vehicles in the subdivision though. When I got back to the ambulance, I started with checking out the back, where I collected medical items and placed 3 trauma bags onto the ground. And when I opened them up, even more medical supplies. Now I feel a lot better about getting injured, knowing we'll have everything Cleo needs to patch herself up back at home. I checked the mechanics on the truck first, which had an empty gas tank. But the ambulance did have a tiny bit inside. I'll take whatever I can find at this point. Before I started walking back home, I repaired my hammer once again using some duct tape I just found in the bed of the truck. And let's mark off those houses. Wait, did I loot that one? No, I didn't. We'll save that one for a different day. Back at home, I put a little bit of fuel into the car and threw a patty into the oven because tonight, Cleo wanted to cook up a burger. Oops, I didn't mean to make it an only meat burger. Cleo wasn't too tired just yet, so I ventured back over towards the neighbors' houses to start farming up some more planks from them. which when I got back to the house, I added to the windows. Our safe house has gotten a lot more secure in this episode, and if you're excited for the next one, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. So far, Cleo survived for 12 days, and she's taken care of over 350 zombies. Her skills aren't looking too shabby either, but today is the day that we're finally going to level up electrical. When I got downstairs to start my day, I began by reading First Aid Volume 1 in hopes that the fog would clear away. Then we could go out when it's a little safer. But the fog was persistent and didn't want to go away. So after I ate up some breakfast and smoked up a cigarette, I headed out into the fog. Checking on my map before heading over, I knew there wasn't any cars in this cul-de-sac here, so there's not really any point in looting that right now. So let's go to this street instead. Maybe there'll be a car over there. Since our main mission is still to get more fuel, and hopefully a generator prior to the power shutting off and all of our food spoiling, there wasn't any time to waste. The first group I came up on had a zombie with a crowbar attached to him. I'll take that, but I'm going to continue using this metal pipe until it breaks. This should be the first house on the list. You scared me. When I got into the house to start looting, I swapped out my hammer with a more durable one and dismantled a flashlight. I haven't been taking too many items from the fridge so far, but when I saw 2 hams sitting in the freezer, I couldn't pass them up. But I took a few seconds to fill up my water bottles before heading back outside, where I spotted a zombie through the mist. Ooh, another guard. I think we're good on food for right now though. The shed in the backyard didn't have a generator, but it did have another plank for us to board up the windows back at home. Before I made it into the house, I checked around for any roamers, but noticed a crash on the street, which immediately caught my attention. When I finally made my way up to the crash, I first inspected the car, which had the key in the glove box, but an empty gas tank. In the ambulance, I first found a walkie-talkie, which, when I dismantled it, leveled up my electrical skill. Finally! There was also an annotated map inside, which showed me the location of a crazy gun guy in his house, which I went ahead and marked on my map, so if we ever find ourselves in the Louisville area, we'll know where some guns are. In the trunk, I found a bunch more medical items, but more importantly, when I checked up on the mechanics, I was gifted with 21% of a gas tank, just what I needed. I tested my luck one more time before leaving by checking out a nearby shed, but when the front door was locked and there were no windows on the outside, I was forced to return home before it got too dark. And when I got back, I added fuel to the car and a plank to the window, before heading inside, where I filled up my empty bottles and fed Cleo dinner, before heading off to sleep. On day 14, I immediately got things started by heading back to where we were yesterday. Let's go ahead and get this turned around, just in case we need to leave in a hurry. When I arrived to the first house, I made my way through the window, where I was able to come away with a few things. Well, not really, just food. This place sucked. On to the next. Well, there's already more food in this one. And some antidepressants. At least it had more than the last. Ooh, a 2-story house. It's been a few episodes since I've been able to loot one. The garage only had crafting materials inside, but the house on the other hand had thread, which we still need a needle before we can start tailoring Cleo's clothing. The kitchen had tons of food, from ramen noodles to ham in the freezer. Although our fridge back home was filled to the brim, I was planning to bring another one over from the neighbors to have some extra space back at home. Before I headed upstairs, I snacked on a little bit of ice cream, and once I was up there, I could hear one of the dead banging on the bedroom door. When it was finally safe to loot, I didn't actually find much upstairs, besides a bunch of alarm clocks. People in this house were never late to anything. Dang, it's not even noon yet. It's crazy the difference a car can give you. Plus, the added benefit of not needing to return home when we're encumbered. So now that I'm no longer, let's go loot the next house. In the shed, I collected another gas can and then ate some more ice cream as I made my way into the house. I almost got caught off guard when entering into the bedroom, but thankfully Cleo was able to swiftly get the door closed. Just like the last one, this house had a ton of food, but more specifically, refrigerated food. Perfect to start getting our new one stocked when we get it in. I took the time while I was inside to go ahead and cook up one of the steaks. When I arrived at the next house on our adventure, there were 2 zombies inside. They must have been lured over by my car when I got here. Well, we may as well enter through here. Oh, some nudie magazines. I'll definitely be taking those. Sharkers are always in need of some extra entertainment, if you know what I mean. There were 2 flashlights inside the closet I used to gain a little extra XP, and then after the kitchen was looted, there wasn't really much else in here, so I went back outside. It seems like there's a garage just over the other side of this wall, so I'm gonna take a peek and see if there's any dead over there. Yep, there's definitely dead over there. Good thing this fence will stop them from getting to me. But I want to quickly loot this house before they get smart. Now we can cross off all 3. I went and deposited everything I could into the trunk, and then the rest into the back seat. After snacking up on a few things, I went to head back home for the night. But just as I was turning left, I spotted a hand axe lodged into one of the zombies, and I couldn't leave it behind. Ooh, and a ninja star. We gotta try this out, and let's do it right now. The last time I had one, I died before I could even try it out, so let's go ahead and use it now. Yep, there's the group that scared me. Alright, here we go. Dang, didn't even make it to her. Time for the trusty old crowbar. Alright, let's give it another go. Boom, there we go. Cleo was starting to panic a little bit. I guess it's because we're getting so close into town now, and any loud noise could lure a huge herd towards her. And as I was taking a beta blocker, I heard the shots of a survivor nearby. It was only one though, likely a mercy kill. But as I was eating up some ham before heading back home, A few of the zombies were lured towards me because of the gunshot. Afterwards, I took a few vitamins and then went to take a look at the garage. It was unfortunately sealed off from the outside, so until we get a welding torch and a mask, we're not going to be able to get into this one either. That group's way too big for me to take on right now. Let's get back home. It's starting to get late anyway. When I got back, I made sure none of the dead followed me home, and then dismantled the electrical items I had, before whipping up a steak and stir fry for dinner. This is one I might actually eat in real life. Most of my Project Zomboid meals I'd never try in real life. After eating, I walked over to the neighbor's house to take their fridge, since we needed more than them anyway. There we go. After it was placed down, and I stored away all the perishable food I had collected, I headed off to sleep. If you're enjoying the video so far, consider leaving a like and subscribing. It's quick to do and really helps out my channel. We're getting so close to 1K subscribers and it's crazy to even think about. I can't thank you all enough. When I woke up in the morning, I figured it was time to put my pistol on the kitchen table. Although Cleo is trained in firearms, we don't have a holster quite yet, so it's just adding extra weight to us. Now a little lighter, I wanted to head back to the cul-de-sac, killing any zombies along my way. Shit. This car's already banged up anyway. Oops, almost went the wrong way. Let's just cut through these trees here. When I got into the neighborhood, I hopped into the first house, which had a lot of canned goods, a magazine for modern performance cars, but not much else. Nice! We haven't found a hunting knife yet. I'll add that to my belt instead of this one. Prior to entering into the next house, I took a quick second to eat more stir fry and to smoke a cigarette. There were a bunch of books in the living room, but we have a lot back at home we need to read first. I did find a hunter magazine, teaching me to make snare traps. After grabbing the food from the kitchen, it was back outside for Cleo. Let's leave this baton behind. I'm getting pretty good at using the fence as cover, but as I was about to enter into the next house, an alarm was sounded. Shit! I gotta get out of here as quickly as possible. If we take anything from the herd we saw earlier, there's gonna be a lot lured over this way. Almost hit my motorcycle as I was parking the car, but we're good. Took a quick second before entering the house to update my map, making sure the future samurai remembers that an alarm went off here. Maybe in the next video, we'll give it some time to simmer over, and instead, loot the trailer park to the south of us. Y'all tell me what you think down below. Do you want me to head back on to take on the zombies that were just looted over? Or should we play it smart and head south for the winter? Episode. I've been watching too much Game of Thrones. Well, I only received one comment on which direction y'all preferred, so I guess we're playing it safe today. What am I saying? There's nowhere safe in an apocalypse. When I got downstairs to start the day, I finished off the remaining stir fry from last night and went to fill up my water bottle, but I heard the sound of what I've been fearing, the water shutting off. I'll still be able to get out what little remains in the pipes, but I'm gonna need to craft up a water collector soon. We do have a lot of water stored away though, so we should be good for a while. Anyway, let's head over now. When I got there, the first trailer mainly only had food inside, which, as you'll see, is going to be a common occurrence in this episode. The bathroom did have a needle and thread, which means we can finally start leveling up tailoring. Ooh, a key. Hopefully we can find what this goes to. Wonder if this is it. If it was too damaged to even check the inside. Plus, the gas tank was empty as well. The second trailer had a cook show episode inside, which I'm gonna wait to watch until after I've read the cooking book, to maximize the experience I obtain from it. Jeez, how many were waiting outside for me? Nice, some cigarettes. There wasn't much else in this trailer. It had already been ransacked pretty hard prior to me getting here. Ooh, a Slim Jim. I guess let's check out this burnt down trailer next. While I was inside there, I used the working oven to cook up a pot of pasta, but not much else was able to survive the fire. After I consumed the food, I returned to the car to deposit what I had collected so far, and then crossed off the houses on our map. Crap, that would have been a sucky way to go. And of course there's more. Whoa! Cleo almost got sandwiched. That certainly would have ended in at least a scratch. After I went back to finish off the rest of them, and had a few more close calls, I decided to pack things up for the night, before I got myself killed. Thanks for the beef jerky. After all the loot was out of the trunk and stored away inside the house, Cleo was beyond ready for bed, so I headed that way. The following morning, we woke up to a nasty storm, so I spent most of the day in here. I started off by finishing First Aid Volume 1. It's been a while since I've been able to add a book to the finished books pile. That just feels right. Now, time to read Carpentry Volume 2. I did say in the last video we need to start clearing out some of these books. They're taking up too much space. After a short break in the middle for a snack, I was also able to complete that book as well. For dinner, I prepared a soup using some of the beans I've collected thus far, mainly because they have a decent amount of weight to them, so it takes up a bit of storage inside the cupboards. While that was cooking, I walked upstairs to grab the woodcrafting VHS I found a few days back, since we had just finished the book when I get a 3 times multiplier to our XP gain while watching it. But before I threw it into the TV, I ate up some fresh stew and smoked a cigarette to clear my anxiety. There we go, level 3. After I finished that one, I went ahead and grabbed the cooking show as well, even though we haven't read the book yet. I decided I'm not too worried about Cleo's cooking skills. She's a trucker after all. And while I was watching it, I started to read my Mechanics Volume 1, which is more in line with her occupation anyway. I'm thinking about maybe doing some work on my car in the near future. Once that VHS was added to the finished pile as well, I noticed the storm had cleared away, so I went outside before the sun went down. My main mission? To farm up more planks. I wanted to start boarding up the inside of the windows as well, so that I'll feel more safe if Cleo needs to bunker down during a helicopter event. And now that my carpentry skill is a little higher, I'll be able to start yielding more planks from items that Cleo dismantles. When I was finished, it was enough to where I was able to board up every window, at least once anyway. To finish off this rainy day, I tailored up Cleo's clothing items. I realized the denim strips were better for protection, so I added as much as I could to my jacket, and then went outside to scavenge some more. Luckily, the zombies haven't started decaying yet. That would have been bad. Once my jacket was complete, I went to do my jeans as well, and then to my shirt, giving Cleo a bunch of extra padding, before heading off to sleep for the night. I started off the next morning by eating more of the soup from last night, and since the rain stopped overnight, I headed back towards the trailer park. Well, so much for the rain going away. A new hunting knife, and a meat stick. First 2 trailers I searched only really had food inside that we needed, but all of the cans made Cleo overweight, so I returned back home to unload my backpack. I wish we could find another one with more storage. That would help a lot on these journeys. I'll just wait for the zombie to break the glass. I don't feel like wasting my energy. The bedroom in this trailer had 2 gun cases in the nightstand, both with ammunition inside. The bookshelf in here also had the How to Use Generators magazine, which I always forget you need to find before you can actually use one. I was going to loot the last trailer in this row, but my body weight was already kinda high, so I went ahead and returned to the car first. Plus, I don't know if there's any zombies over there, and getting into a fight with them wouldn't be a great idea. And now that everything was put away, I decided to loot the trailers on this side of the street first, since they're a little closer to the car. This one had a load of food and cooking supplies inside, once again, and then on my way to the next, I spotted a blue sedan that could have fuel inside. Now that the water's shut off, let's start grabbing trash bags, so the Cleo can make some water collectors eventually. Oh, almost snuck up on me there. The car had pretty good mechanics, but unfortunately, no fuel. There was a new lighter for Cleo in the glove box though. Crap, I caught the attention of a few dead. let's go ahead and throw these back in the cupboard in case we need to fight. Actually, let's just run back to the car. Now we'll have the upper hand. Cleo's starting to get a little tired though. Let's take some vitamins. More food. At least we can cross all these trailers off now. Cleo's gonna need more vitamins before we take on the rest. While I was fighting them, Cleo became completely panicked. I honestly don't know what's going on with her recently. Maybe the constant killing is starting to affect her mental state, or just being alone in the apocalypse. It's actually probably both. Damn, this car's empty too. Ooh, military camper. I wonder if we could get in there without damaging the exterior. But right now, it's starting to get a little late, so taking on those zombies would be a death wish. So let's head home. Crap, there goes our mailbox. I spent the rest of the night storing away the food and other loot we had collected, and when I finished up with that, I was ready for bed. Well, the sink's empty. I guess we're using the toilet. When I woke up on day 18 of Cleo's journey, I wanted to take a look at her stats. 534 zombies have met their fate to Cleo using her favorite weapon, the crowbar. Wait, the ball-peen hammer? I don't even know if I've used that for a complete episode yet. Anyway, when I got downstairs, I finished off the soup for breakfast, and then immediately headed back for the trailer park. That's a lot of zombies. I'll take that pistol though. And I'll take this hunting knife. I was unfortunately unable to loot the camper without breaking any window, and I kinda wanted to have this camper in case we needed to go on an overnight run, so hopefully the keys are on a nearby zombie. I was able to check the vehicle mechanics though, but I wasn't expecting there to be fuel inside. So I was caught off guard when it had 70% of a gas tank. Finally we found a full tank, or at least more than like what we've been finding. I went ahead and ran back to the car and brought it closer to the camper. This way I didn't have to take the extra trips back and forth. Once the fuel was transferred to my car, I went to loot the next trailer, eating beef jerky along the way. It seems like everyone in this trailer park died with either a Slim Jim or beef jerky in their pocket. Which isn't bad for Cleo's sake. In the next trailer, I cooked up a pork chop and filled up my water bottle while I was in here. And it didn't have much else though. The next trailer didn't have much of anything, but there was a new bottle of beta blockers that I took. Ooh, there's an ATV in the motel parking lot. I collected a plank outside the next trailer, which got us into the overweight category, so I went ahead and returned back for a depot again. And while we're here, let's go ahead and pull the car up a little bit. Cleo, we can't have you getting too tired just yet. Nice, another hunting knife. Phew, that was close. This trailer had a bunch of 2-liter sodas. It weighed us down even more. So after I looted the trailer, I tried to put them in the trunk, but then I got ambushed by a couple of the dead. Let's go ahead and drink this. It'll at least lower Cleo's weight a little bit. I swapped to my knife, since it's a little easier to wield than the heavy crowbar. Ugh, now I'm safe. Time for the next one, which had medical items that I took, and there was also a hiking bag in the master bedroom. Woo! Let's go! I put that thing on, along with the leather gloves that were in here as well, and then transferred everything from my Spiffo backpack to my brand new hiking bag. And now I can mark all these houses off as well. Only a few more to go, and then the motel. I'll search those tomorrow though. For now, let's head back to the safe house. I'm really starting to run out of space to store things. Now that I have an axe though, I might start chopping down a few trees in the next episode. For now though, I headed off to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I started off my day by drinking a gallon of milk before it spoiled, and then cutting up some fruit to put into a salad to eat. And then I headed on back. Looks like a few followed me here. They were no match for Cleo though. Once I was inside the first trailer, I was able to come away with a few drinks and a couple snacks as well. Trailer number 2 was really small, but did have beta blockers in the bathroom. The third trailer, it was back to normal. Now, it's time for the main event, the motel. More orange soda, 2 gas cans, and a plank. Not bad for a little closet. Oh no, we're cornered in here. Run! That worked. When I got to the main office, it also didn't really have much inside. Let's head upstairs now. There wasn't much noteworthy up here either. Ooh, that zombie's got a shotgun attached to it. Now that the interior is clear, I walked up to the ATV, which was loaded with explosives, smoke bombs, and ammunition. We need to go unload our backpack. We are super encumbered. And let's go ahead and drive the car a little closer while we're here. Ugh, there goes the crowbar. Thank you for the shotgun, and thank you for the pistol. Now we can head home. Cleo has successfully cleared and looted the entire trailer park without even taking a scratch. I wish I could spend the next episode getting some wooden planks, since we need to craft up a water collector, along with extra storage. But we still don't have a generator yet, and that's more important right now. After that successful mission, Cleo spoiled herself with some alcohol back at home, and then I cooked up a pasta for her to eat for dinner. Shit! The second helicopter's here. All of the dead around town are probably herded into some decent sized groups by now, which will only be making it more difficult to clear them out. And since we haven't had the luxury of finding a generator yet, we're gonna need to head back out there. But Cleo, she's built different, so I'm not scared. But for now, let's wait for the helicopter to fly away. I started in the bathroom, where I unloaded extra medical supplies I had on me from the last video, and used the remaining fresh water that was stuck in the pipes to fill up my bottle. When I got downstairs, I checked to see what ammo type my shotgun took, to see if we had any lying around. Now, I don't think we found any yet, so I put the shotgun onto the ground for right now to free up a little more space. Next up, I started chopping up food to put into a stir fry, using as much of the stale food as I could before it went bad. The echoing sounds of the helicopter still loomed above, which lured one of the dead to my side door. Luckily though, it was just one. I'll use your pants for extra denim strips to pad up my clothing, which, after I ate my lunch, I headed upstairs to do. Cleo only has a few more pieces of clothing that have yet to been padded up, so I was able to finish up whatever was remaining, even my gloves. Now hopefully we'll never get bit. So far, been pretty lucky on that front. By the time I got back downstairs, the helicopter had traveled away, so I used the remaining daytime to go out and gather some planks. I mentioned in my last video that I wanted to construct some crates for extra storage, and since most of the day has already been ruined, now's a good time to go out and do that. Once I arrived at my chosen house, I immediately got started with a dismantling process, going room by room, destroying as much as I could, which gave me enough to where I was able to craft an additional 2 storage crates upstairs, along with one in the kitchen for surplus food. Then I smoked up a cigarette and unequipped all my headgear. Cleo doesn't remember her hair being this long since, well, probably middle school. Although she does wear it pretty well, it gives the zombies something to grab a hold of. So Cleo found it in her best interest to go ahead and cut it a little shorter. Which, what can I say? She also rocks pretty well. I think this zombie is technically inside, so I'm going to move it a little further away from the house just in case. We don't want Cleo getting sick. On my way back in, I grabbed the pots of water that were sitting outside to fill up, and then put them into the oven to purify. After I consumed more stir fry for dinner, Cleo was starting to get tired. So I went ahead and made my way upstairs. That way we can get an early start tomorrow. Cleo woke up at around 5 AM and ate the remaining stir fry for breakfast. I also took some ham from the fridge so that I'll have a snack to eat while I'm out killing the hordes. We found our first zombie before we even left the driveway, which that's never a good sign. Fuck! I accidentally turned on cruise control. Let's back it up a little bit and drive it up here so we can easily hop in if things go wrong. When I jumped out, I was already overwhelmed with the amount of zombies around, so I ran towards the house for cover and to try to break up the group, but that only lured more towards me. We need beta blockers. I was backed all the way up to the fence, so I had to circle around this house too. Ooh, that zombie's got a sickle stuck to it. Let's eat this, it'll give us a boost. Crap, almost got myself cornered. I quickly opened up the door so that some of the dead would funnel inside, and then I was finally able to thin down that group. I'll take this. Made my way back up to the front of the house when I saw one inside, but Cleo tripped another house alarm. Don't ask me how the zombie that's already in here didn't trip it off before me, but maybe the owners had a special security system that only detects humans. I had to make a split-second decision on whether I would stay and fight off the incoming zombies or run back to the safe house. My initial idea, probably not too smart, was to try to take on the incoming herd, in hopes that most would be blocked by the 2 high walls surrounding the cul-de-sac. But after one of my knives broke, I added the sickle to my belt, but the incoming wave was a lot more dense than the last. There's no way we could take this one out. I retreated back to the abandoned house, while I continued eating to gain a few more passive buffs. When I got inside, I was met with a sudden realization that the only exiting window was shattered already, which scraped up Cleo's hands in the process. I was backed up all the way into the corner once again. I probably should have taken this golden opportunity to hop the fence here, but I turned left to keep going, popping more beta blockers to reduce Cleo's panic attack. Ah, too close. I zoomed out my camera view and finally realized just how many dead were lured my way. Okay, let's get out of here. I decided to stop the car about halfway home, so if there's any zombies following me, they'll only be coming in one direction. After a bunch of more close calls with the first wave of dead, I was rewarded with a shotgun, a pistol, and a holster to hold it. Now that I have some extra firepower in case we get ambushed, I felt a lot safer. Crap, Cleo's getting exhausted. Time to swap to the knife. After that, I returned back home to grab more food to eat and to give Cleo a little break from the killing, which I probably should have given her a little longer than just an hour, but I didn't want to waste any time. When I got back to the farmhouse, I tried to play it safe in order to conserve Cleo's energy, by bringing only a few zombies at a time. It worked for the first few zombies, but then the group started migrating back over towards where the house alarm went off, so I was forced to creep over towards them. Walked all the way up to the corner, where I was met with a jump scare and 3 zombies. Oh, there's 4. Too many to do the wall trick on, so I stepped back and I was able to kill one, but the other 2 got up and grabbed a hold of Cleo, and I heard the sound of a bite. Shit, we gotta get home. There's still enough time to cut off the hand and save her life. Although she'll be living with the nub for the rest of her days, that's better than dying. I bandaged my hand prior to getting into the car, and then sped my way home. I ran in once I got there, threw my helmet down, and ran upstairs for the saw just in case. Then I ran into the bathroom to prep for surgery, but when I went to make the cut, I was unable to. I tried a bunch of different methods, taking some pills beforehand, dragging the saw to the affected area, taking off bandages, re-equipping bandages, and frankly, nothing seemed to work. I thought maybe if I exited out of my save and checked to ensure that the mod was still enabled, that might help. So I went to go do that, which I did. I'm pretty sure this is the right one anyway. I'll go ahead and turn this one on too, I guess. Maybe that will work. When I got back in, I was still unable to attempt the life-saving procedure. So Cleo doesn't have much time left. Let's go out with a bang. I started grabbing all the ammunition that would work for my guns, but I was only able to scrape together a little bit of 45 ACP rounds. My dumb memory forgot about the Molotovs and explosives I found in the last episode, which would have made this last stand even more epic. But nonetheless, let's go do this. Jumped back into the car and headed back towards the herd. And even when I got there, I wanted to absolutely ensure that I was still unable to saw my arm off, which I was. If you all enjoyed Cleo's story, leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have recommendations for my next run, or ways to improve the videos in general, comment them down below. Or join my Discord if you want, link down in the description. Anyway, thank you all so much for the support on Cleo Trucko's journey. I'll be putting her story into one big episode, which will be released probably sometime in December. I'm going to save it for a week when I'm out of town and don't have anything to upload. Anyway, I'll see you all in my next Project Zomboid story. Peace out.